This would be the part of a video a better creator would probably have a skit where they're wearing 3 different shirts, kind of going over scheduling and just talking about how difficult it is just for it to kind of all end up falling apart. I can't afford to be that vulnerable, so I'm just going to say that I think scheduling is pretty difficult, but there could be some things that can be done to kind of smooth out that process. I really like playing and hosting games of D&D. I love doing all that, but I do recognize that with 7+ players sometimes that it gets a little bit difficult, especially when they're all full-time working adults. I am as well, of just trying to make those things work is difficult. But I do have a pretty black and white view of life and how I pursue things, and it's pretty much 2 categories. Do I want it? Do I not want it? Scheduling is a chore, but if you want it enough, you're going to make it happen. Just refer to one of my favorite Tumblr posts that I'm going to have on screen right here. Essentially, if you want it, you're going to make it happen. I think I've come to a point where I have made it so that scheduling is pretty easy for me and it works for the people around me. It might not necessarily work for you, but I brought in these categories so that you can kind of slide and fit it to however you're working. These are very broad things to bring up. So if you're having trouble scheduling, even just not even D&D games, I use this exact same formula to schedule movie nights, hangouts with my friends as well. First, you need to set expectations with your group. Before you start becoming a little bit of a schedule tyrant, especially if you haven't done that before, it's important that you kind of lay the groundwork with all of your players, your friends, what you expect for their attendance and for their communication. For example, I run a game with 7 players, 8 if you include myself. That is a lot of adults who are working and have their own schedules, families, whatnot. I'm okay if someone is not there that day. They just need to tell me. My expectations are really, really simple for my games. Essentially, if there are 2 or more players missing out of the 7, then we will not do our main campaign that game or that day. Either we will be doing a one-shot, or maybe we'll just do like a movie night, or I'll have like another player host the game so I can get a break. I also expect them to know their schedules at least 3 to 4 weeks in advance. I always set my polls a month in advance for everyone to kind of start filling that out. That might be a bit extreme for some people, but it's whatever your standards are. If you need it 1 week or 2 weeks, do that. But I don't really personally like spending the mental energy thinking of a scene for a character for a specific week, just to find out that they're not there. If anything changes with their schedule, they should just contact me right away. I understand, like, hey, family emergency, I'm sick. There's so many other things, or like, I forgot I had something else planned. Okay, that's fine. Just let me know as soon as possible. But it does just save a lot of mental capacity for players too, if they have certain scenes that they want to have with other player characters, or they have conversations that they can kind of pocket those, bank those for the moment. That way they're not kind of wasting that energy expecting something or being disappointed if they're not going to be there a certain week. Just let the group know as soon as possible. There's chats for that. Also, just because I personally like to spend all my time doing as much as I can. So if I am prepping something that ends up not going to be used for a few weeks, I'm like, that sucks. I mean, at least I had it prepped, but I would have preferred, I don't know, I could be doing a commission or something. I could have been writing a script, something like that. Communication is very important at the table, but it's also equally as important outside the table, because scheduling and understanding all of these people's lives is important to play this extremely social game. Secondly, if you have these expectations and they've been set, one thing that you have to do is you have to hold them accountable. So kind of keep true to your word is the best way I would put it. You have to kind of be, the best way to put it, I saw I saw a tweet about this or something, where it's like, to get a group of adults together, you have to be a little bit of a dictator. Just say, we are doing this, and then kind of ask for forgiveness later. Do that, but with a little bit more kindness. But you have to constantly be reminding everyone that there are things that you need from them. Remind them if they're not communicating enough. You have to call them out on it. If you are needing polls to be filled out, remind them. If you are if you need things from them, just remind them, because as a DM, as a player, you all have wants and needs, and you need to fulfill that together. Hopefully, if you have like another friend who really cares about having the game run on time, they will do their best to hold others accountable too. Very teacher's pet-esque is what I've heard of it, but it is true that having someone else kind of help out with the scheduling, make sure that they are keeping everyone else kind of responsible is important. And if someone ends up not being the best at communicating, or there's something that's going on and they're not able to meet your expectations, then that's a discussion you had to have. You had to talk with them and find some kind of middle ground, because you both have things that you want, and obviously you want this game to happen. You have to do it. The main thing that I would notate there, though, is make sure that when you're talking to them, it's not coming from like a place of anger, maybe disappointment, which I know that some people think is worse, but it's okay to be disappointed in your friends. It's okay for them to be disappointed in you. It happens. But the main thing is that you are not giving them anger. You're not showing them that you're like angry at them. You are just holding them responsible. Think gentle parenting. You're not letting it slide, but you're not throwing things at them. Very, very simple, like hold them responsible, stay true to your word. Third thing, just very simply pull your players for their time. I have a pull sheet that I will share. I think it works really well for me. It's pretty easy to use. I had originally made this one after seeing the video from Mystic DM. I watched a lot of his videos. And I just immediately saw when I clicked the link that he had put down that it just wasn't going to work for me. I don't have enough players to double like that. I only run one game currently. I used to run more, but even then I don't think I would need that. But if it works for you, then it works for you. But for my uses, as someone who just runs like a weekly game, or even someone who runs like a bi-weekly game, I think my sheet will work for very simple things. I love Mystic TM, but sometimes the way that he organizes things scares me personally, just because I can't do that. So I ended up making this sheet with my experience from doing a lot of doodle polls. I'm not sure if anyone's ever used Doodle here, but it's very simply an app that lets you ask for specific days for a singular event. And you'll set a bunch of days, say yes, no, maybe, and it'll kind of tally up what the best day is for that. And I like it, but it's kind of good for singular events. They're not really good at making multiple events. I need more flexibility. I needed to kind of like spread out multiple D&D days throughout the entirety of the month, versus making an event page for every single one and then kind of cross-referencing that. Just didn't really work for me, or it didn't click with me in a way that I liked. I think they're expanding to do more things, but Google Sheets is there, and Google Sheets I know how to do from work and stuff. So on the top of our sheet here, it's going to be my month, not my month, the month of the year. On the left is going to be all the players' names that I have blurred. And I myself am included on this list of players simply because I wanted for my players, especially because they're my friends and stuff like that, some of them are my roommates, to be able to play games without me. Some of them like to schedule things to hang out, and I kind of just give them the opportunity to be like, oh, here's an open day where all of you guys are available. You guys can hang out. They can either do like a one-shot, movies, I don't know, they could go out somewhere. I'm giving that option there, which is something you can't do on Doodle. Doodle, the host has to be available on all the days that you put down, which makes sense, but doesn't make sense for my purposes. Going across the top is basically every single weekend. I have it set for 4 weekends. I know there's like rare months where you might get the 5 weekends. With those cases, I guess you can extend it. For me, it just didn't look aesthetically pleasing, so I don't include it. But I very simply do every Saturday, Sunday, and I don't include Fridays, even though sometimes we do movie nights on Fridays. And then on the right, very simply, I just listed out all of my expectations of the DMs. So, once a month, I would like for someone to do a one-shot to give me a break. And then we normally only do one game a week. So even though we're saying available, doesn't mean that we're playing 2 games. We're just playing once a week. It's either going to be the Saturday or Sunday that works better that weekend. And then the 2-player rule that I spoke about before, you can kind of just fill out all your forms there. The thing is that you want to kind of always remind your players of your expectations. I know even if you have a conversation with some people forget. I'm the kind of person that needs to take a note in a little black book with everyone's names in it to remember, what they're comfortable with. So people process things differently. So I would just put that there as a constant reminder of kind of what the expectation is. In the actual polling section, very easily the players can put down yes, no, maybe, or late. And then on the bottom, I've put very simple, extremely simple formulas that tallies up all the yes responses, all the maybes, all the lates, and all the nos. And then additionally, there is a maximum counter that will add up the late, maybe, and nos, the late, maybe, and yeses together to add up a maximum, the maximum possible amount of people that could be there. Obviously, I'm looking for, based on the amount of people, it should be 6 because of the 2-person rule. Any of the days that are below 6, then I am doing a one shot where maybe we're not even just hanging out that day. But kind of using that to cross reference, I can't reasonably run a game more than twice a week. So even though I have Saturdays, Sundays, I'm only running one. Maybe those Saturdays could also be a one shot if we're down to hang out twice in the same week. I also make sure that I know all my players' emails and whatever they use for Google Drive, because the file is shared to everyone's emails, and that I've made it so each of the rows only they can edit. Everything else I can edit, but they can only edit their own row, so they can edit their own responses, but nothing else. Anyways, that's it. Schedule your game. Kind of, be. You're the dungeon master, you're putting, hosting all this together. You need to be a leader outside the game as well. Make sure that people are remembering to fill out their polls, remembering to do all this, and then have fun playing D&D. But if you want D&D to happen, you have to want it enough.